It's 7 o'clock, July 12th, 2018, and I'd like to bring the meeting to order. We begin with the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have one addition to the agenda, and that is that we're going to be considering a resolution and the award of a contract for the culvert on Lower Mill Road. With that addition, can I have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Made by John Merwin, seconded by Chris Kennan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any public comment on agenda items only? Okay, then we go to department and committee reports. Police, we don't have yet. We certainly have highway, so Bob.
The new Bobcat skid steer was delivered on June 27th. Summit Bobcat provided training for us on June 28th, so we're all ready to go there. We will actually be putting it to work next week. And the other equipment's holding up well, no major issues with that. And everything else is going well.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I see Catherine is here.
Thank you.
So,
Okay, two will be short and sweet. Here's a copy of my report. Just a couple of items. Just as I wrap up my 2018 assessment roll year, end of the year things is we held Grievance Day on May 23rd. We had 6 owners or representatives come in and complain, and another 5 who mailed in, and 1 that settled to me before Grievance Day. So those 12 individuals made up 16 parcels in total. The board met and decided and gave partial or full relief to 6 of those, and the rest were denied. All those decisions were put on my roll, sent to the county, presented to the town clerk, and my roll was finalized as of July 1st. So we're good and set. And on May 22nd, I'm waiting for a final, but on May 22nd we received a tentative rate from the state of 100% equalization, which shows that the state's own analysis of my 2018 roll showed that we were at 100% at market value for this year. And since there were no major changes from Grievance Day, I expect to get a final rate of 100% very soon. So we're good and final, and I'm working on 2019 already. Kind of scary.
Very good, yeah.
good. And any questions?
No,
Good
Thank
job.
you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Have a good night.
I see we have on the table town clerk report.
And the planning, zoning, and building is also there on the table.
Yes, we do. And the town zoning and building. Any questions or comments on those? If not, town clerk, we have a report, anything to report this?
No, not this month.
Okay. Committee activity. Chris and I have been attending the Climate Smart activity, I guess, group. And Chris is going to give us a report on that.
Okay, we've talked about Climate Smart program before, but I thought I would take the opportunity to describe it in a little bit more detail. This is a New York State program which sets out a whole list of activities that communities can pursue to improve the environment. And they have 2 basic objectives. One is reducing greenhouse gas emissions, And the second is increasing the resilience of communities to the effects of climate change, such as flooding and heat and so on and so forth. The program also provides grant opportunities to pay for these initiatives. And tonight I'm going to ask for the board's support as we apply for our first grant. As all of us know, we live in an amazingly beautiful area, and we sometimes take it for granted, but I think we need to work to keep it this way. And because I think we assume it'll always look this way. But we should also be doing our part, however modest it might be in a community of 3,000 people, to reduce our impact on climate change. Whether you believe that climate change is caused by people or not, there's virtually no question that greenhouse gas emissions are contributing to global warming. And many communities and states around the country are taking initiatives on their own to do this. New York State's done it through what they've called the Climate Smart program. It was begun by the state in 2009 with the goal of engaging and educating local governments in New York State, providing a framework to guide their climate action efforts, and recognizing their achievements as they make progress. The first and easiest step for a local government to take is simply to take the pledge to become a climate smart community. And both the town of Northeast and the village of Millerton did that earlier this year. And they've done that along with 232 other communities around the state. So this is something that has been adopted quite widely. This first step allows us to apply for grants from the state and probably from the county as well. This community has very limited resources, and grants are a great way of enabling us to expand our activities without unduly burdening taxpayers. After registering as a climate smart community, and that's literally just sending in a resolution from the town board saying we are becoming a climate smart community, the next step is to work to become certified. And the state has set out a long list of activities which communities can undertake in order to become certified. Each of them is worth a certain number of points, and you have to do a certain number of these in order to achieve either a bronze or silver certification. And it's a long process. It's a years-long process, and only 20-some communities around the state have actually gotten there. So it's really just a way to guide a number of activities, and there are some which we've done independently of Climate Smart, which would qualify for points as well. So now we're ready to begin taking on some of these activities. The town board has designated the CAC, the Conservation Advisory Committee, to be the implementing task force, and for Diane Engelke, our CAC chair, to be the coordinator. The CAC has been working to help us get started, and they've recommended that we apply for a grant to accomplish 3 priority items at this time. This first one is a mouthful, but bear with me. It's a review of existing community plans, policies, and projects in the town of Northeast and the village of Millerton to identify climate adaptation strategies, policies, and projects to decrease vulnerability to climate change. That's, despite the bureaucratic language, this is an important project. The town and the village have many policies and plans, some dating back a long time, and many of which were not necessarily written with any sensitivity to climate. It's also to assess our general resilience, and would include such things as a review of the town's disaster preparedness, something that could have benefits for the community way beyond climate aspects. The cost of this first project has been estimated at $9,057. A second project would be a study of road stream crossings in the town of Northeast and the village of Millerton. Bridges and culverts, as Bob knows well, are very susceptible to flooding, and the consequences can be serious, not just damages to the structure and the associated repair or replacement, but actually life and safety threats to motorists and residents as well. This project would include an inventory and an assessment of structures in the field, hydrologic and hydraulic modeling to characterize future floods, working with town and village staff to flag crossings that might impede emergency response, prioritization of potential replacement projects based on flood risk reduction. The town of Dover recently, town of Dover is a little bit ahead of us in terms of the Climate Smart program. They started this 2 years ago, and they are well on their way. And they have done this study of road stream crossings. And they've shared with us how helpful it was to them, because it's really a detailed analysis of every single culvert and bridge in the community. And it's also a useful document in seeking additional funding to mitigate flood risk at bridges and culverts. This study has been estimated at $13,150. The third initiative would be a government operations greenhouse gas emissions inventory. This would assess the greenhouse gas emissions from all town and village owned or leased buildings, structures, vehicles, and so on. This would form an important baseline from which we can assess future improvements as a result of higher performing buildings and vehicles. It's also a very high priority item for the state in this program, and the cost for us has been estimated at $12,500. In beginning our work in this Climate Smart community program, the CAC and the town board members have been meeting with the Housatonic Valley Association, otherwise known as HVA. HVA does a great deal of high quality environmental studies and assessments, and they have done a lot of the work for the town of Dover. HVA is also currently working with the town of Amenia on very similar pieces, and if they were to perform some of the work I've described, there would be some economies of scales which would benefit us. HVA is prepared to help us get an application in before the deadline. The deadline for applying is July 27th, so it's an extremely tight timetable, 2 weeks. But they've done a lot of this work for other communities. They have a lot of the language and so on in their capabilities. And they've also been quite successful in getting these applications approved. So the CAC is recommending that with HVA's assistance, the town apply for a grant from the state's Climate Smart Grant Program to cover these three activities. While the grant program does require a 50% match, HVA's work on the first two items would actually satisfy the match requirement for them. On the third one, the greenhouse gas emission study, the match would be could be as much as $6,250. We would need to look for another consulting organization other than HVA to help us in this particular work, and there are other organizations that have done a lot of work in actually assessing greenhouse gas emissions. There would be a number of ways of coming up with this match, including counting volunteer hours, as well as the possibility of securing private donations to help with them. However, I would suggest that the town nonetheless appropriate $6,250 in next year's budget as a fallback in case other ways of meeting the match are insufficient. So I have prepared a draft resolution just basically authorizing the town to apply for this. But in the meantime, if you all have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And I promise not to talk so long next time.
I don't have any questions. You have a very thorough presentation.
The maximum that we can go in for for these grants is $40,000. And as Chris outlined here, we're going in for 36,000.
About 36,000 of that.
Yeah. With the aid of HBA, of course, that reduces our needs here to $6,125. So I think that's a pretty good deal. We're certainly not going to be able to get that. And we need to do this now because the funds for this type of thing are starting to dry up. And they may not be available in future years. So we need to get going on it and doing it now. With that, I'm going to have, Lisa, can you read the resolution for the...
This
Okay,
one?
yeah.
Or the same thing?
Yes.
Okay. It's a proposed climate smart grant resolution. The town board of the town of Northeast hereby authorizes the town supervisor and the town clerk to work with the Housatonic Valley Association to prepare and submit a grant application to the New York State DEC Climate Smart Communities Program for an amount not to exceed $40,000 to assist with a series of priority actions required to complete the certification.
Can I have a motion to accept the resolution made by Chris Kennan, seconded by John Merwin? I think you need a roll call vote on this.
George?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Ralph?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
John?
Very good. I see Dave is here. Would you like to give your report, please?
I would love to. So, June was busy, mostly because of traffic. We had more daytime patrols that were able to do more traffic safety. So we had 111 total incidents. We had 28 in the town, 83 in the village. Out of that, we had 8 arrests, 2 arrests in the town, 6 in the village. And the 2 arrests that were in the town, one was a DWI and one was a traffic suspended license, which is a misdemeanor. Last year, we had considerably fewer, but we had a lot more arrests. We had a total of 81, 18 in the town and 63 in the village. And out of that, we had 10 arrests in the village and 5 in the town. So less complaints, more arrests last year. I didn't see anything that was that dramatic. One thing that I did see, comparing it to the 2 previous months, I think I told you guys that we had 8 DWI alcohol or drug arrests, impaired arrests while driving. And for this last month, last June, it was down significantly. So hopefully that's a better trend. And that was down from last year too, because last year included some DWI arrests as well. So hopefully that's a good sign. So that's about it. We lost.
Did you have a speeding?
With speeding initiative, yes, I sent you the email. Thank you for reminding me about that. And that was August 1st?
I
Did it
thought,
start?
yeah, I think so.
The 1st through
First
the
through
8th?
the 7th or 8th.
Yeah, it's a week, and that's sponsored by New York State. They've already allocated money for it. They're encouraging anybody that got grant money for the initiative to go out and do speed enforcement, because there's going to be public service announcements on TV and whatnot, and that's usually when they want you to participate in those type things. So I just put it out there that we will have some activity. I'm not sure. We're down an officer, so I'm not sure how much patrol versus traffic safety, but I just wanted to put it out there. I copied town supervisor, all the board members in the village, and also the press. So hopefully there will be something out there. We want to encourage people, hey, it's speed week, so we got to make sure that we follow the speed.
So don't drive fast.
Right, and this isn't anything, we're not going to be hiding around corners. We want people to just slow down. If we get if we get no arrests, that's a wonderful thing. So anybody that please tell that the police departments in general are going to be out and doing that, because it's sponsored by the by NHTSA And it's sponsored by the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee, and it gets dropped down to, the counties. Again, there's no additional money, but there's gonna just be, advertisement and whatnot, so.
So Ralph, you gotta keep the Mini Cooper under control.
So
I've seen that Mini Cooper.
how does that enforcement differ from your regular speed?
It just means that, when we're out doing traffic safety, instead of just doing, during the 2 weeks that we do click it or ticket, the focus is on seatbelts. Doesn't mean that we don't write tickets for anything else, but the focus is seatbelts, and you see spikes in, just movement towards seatbelts instead of speed, and then, when it's no more click it or ticket, then it's speed and a variety of other things, stop signs, whatever, everything traffic safety wise. But during this week, it doesn't say that you can't do anything else. During the seatbelt, the 2 weeks, they don't want you doing regular traffic safety. They want you to do seatbelts, and that's a requirement. This is just an encouragement, so a little different. But we will be out at least a couple of days during that period, and
Dave, what's the date again?
I'm fairly certain.
Put it on your
Lots of
calendar.
Mini Cooper. Yes, I'm pretty certain it's April 1st through April 2nd.
August.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, April. Oh, yeah, April. Oh, boy, I'm going backwards. I'm wanting a little bit longer summer, I guess. But yeah, that's the beginning of August. And hopefully that will get into the newspaper. You got my email, right? So if that's, again, whoever say, hey, watch those guys in Millerton, they're gonna be doing speed enforcement. And we have had a lot of accidents. They don't call them accidents anymore, they call them crashes. And one of the reasons for the traffic safety grant is to try to reduce the number of crashes we have in a community. And they give you the grants based on the number of reported accidents that you have. So this isn't something they just say, we think we're gonna give Millerton this, and this. There's also other data that comes from it. How many, like during the click it or ticket, how many seatbelt tickets have you done in the past? And they try to give you appropriate number of hours in your budget to do at least as much and hopefully more. That's always their thought.
Are there any particular areas that you're going to be concentrating on, or would you rather not give that out?
No.
199.
One that's near and dear to me is probably Sharon Road, especially the stretch along Indian Lake.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to be doing 15 miles an hour. We're probably going to be doing more like 10 or 12 miles an hour. It's certainly going to be reduced. You get out onto Route 22, North Elm, South Elm. Generally speaking, we give people 15 miles an hour over the speed limit, but through Sharon Road, that's a very dangerous area. It's posted 35, so where our threshold is going to be a little bit lower there. Knock on wood, we haven't had any serious accidents there that I can think of in the last 6-8 months.
You could end up in the lake.
Yes, well, and let's face it, they lost at least one house, maybe 2 houses for cars going off the road and hitting the houses. I think there were 2 that were lost. They couldn't be rebuilt, and I don't know if they're even still up anymore. But anyway, it's certainly been a problem area, and 35 miles an hour is more than enough to be going through there for sure. So that's one area. We've had a lot of accidents along Red Pond Road. They did reduce the speed, so we're gonna probably be out there. Bilkey Road is another place that we've had a lot of complaints. When we get out there, we certainly can, we certainly understand people are going fast, but that's usually an early morning thing or a commuter thing coming home. So I'm not sure, we'll probably go to all those different areas. And of course, North and South Elm, those are always busy places. And coming into the village on North Maple, this stretch here, I've had some pretty 50 plus mile an hour speed limits coming through here, which just, it's kind of alarming when you see it. People even coming up the hill. They go by you as you're coming down the hill and they're going over 50 miles an hour. It's like, holy mackerel. So those are the areas that we will be out on. And, anything else. We'll be moving, we'll be stationary, doing a variety of other things, whatever works. That's kind of
Stay
thing.
home till the night.
So
Thank you
that's-
very much, Dave.
That's about it. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Any complaints anybody's heard? Hopefully not. Recently? Everything's,
No, nothing.
it's been pretty quiet the last couple of weeks, so.
That's the way we look.
That's the way we hope it can stay. So we'll see you guys next month, if not before.
Thank you very much, Dave. Next, John Midwood's going to give us an update on the ambulance service task force that has been in operation here.
Sure. So just a little bit of background information on what, there's a Northeast Dutchess EMS study. And this study is a collaboration between 3 towns, Town Northeast, Amenia, Dover, and the Village of Millerton. And the goal is to seek an evaluation of the existing EMS services in the 3 towns in the village. And in that area, there's about 16,000 residents. And the project is looking at the existing conditions to identify a range of options for EMS response and transportation services for the area, and recommend changes to enhance service delivery and improve patient care. And I would add to that the main goal would be to also save money. And this is a project that at least this study, I know George had a big role in initiating, and with the county leadership, and I was appointed the Town of Northeast representative to the steering committee, and we had one meeting of the steering committee so far, an introductory meeting where we reviewed the kind of state of EMS in each of the 3 towns. And also, we met with the consultant who was going to be helping us with this study. Before that meeting, I also met with the Northeast Fire Department and had a meeting with their leadership and representatives, and got the lay of the land from them before I went to the steering committee. Now, an update on what has been done so far and what there still is to be accomplished. So, so far, the consultant and the steering committee have conducted about a dozen interviews with nearly 30 individuals, including representatives from each town, the 4 fire departments, the county, Sharon Hospital, and Northern Dutchess paramedics. There's also a project website where you can get more information on this project. It's www.cgr.org/NEDEMS, Northeastern Dutchess EMS. In addition, information has been gathered from the towns, fire departments, and the county. And an initial analysis has been conducted of EMS calls in the 3 towns for several recent years. And so that's what's happened so far. Now, what remains of the project is to complete the survey of current EMS and fire providers. There's a survey that they want all, fire department personnel and emergency medical technicians to complete. And I've forwarded that survey on to the fire department to gather the relevant open data requests, to complete the analysis of the calls for the service data, and then there's the writing of the baseline report and confirming data with the agencies, completing the baseline report, developing options and integrating them into a final report, and then sharing the final report with appropriate audiences. So I guess that wraps up my, and I provided to each board member the detailed scope of the project, and I have a couple more on the table if anyone's interested. to review. And that in combination with the website should give you, more detailed information. And that's basically wraps up my report on the Northeast Dutchess TMS study.
The only thing I might add to that is that this report is supposed to be done by the end of August, because we hope to be able to use the figures that they come up with in our budgeting for next year. And hopefully they tend to be better than what we are looking at currently. So, very good, John, thank you. Next I'd like to ask Evie to give us an update on the comprehensive plan committee.
I'm here to give an update on the comprehensive plan committee update. That actually was something in the intermunicipal agreement, and I will be giving this report to the village at their next meeting. Basically, the way, I think I can speak for there are a number of people here who are on the committee. We've been very pleased with our consultant. I don't think we could have possibly gotten as far as we are without her guidance. But she has broken the whole process down into 3 phases. The first phase is public input, and we have completed that. Call it raw data in the sense of just what we went out, the focus groups, the visioning session, the survey. And that is complete. We are now in phase 2. And we have created a draft vision statement. At our last meeting, we had developed 10 goals. We are at the next meeting, which is on Monday. I think we will finalize the draft goals. Everything at this point is draft, but you would need to come to consensus to move forward. And we are going to begin the process, which is probably going to take 3 or 4 possible meetings, of drafting the strategies to meet the goals. At this point, we're not prioritizing. She's suggesting that we wait until we have pulled together a set of strategies before we start even prioritizing that. And she's going to be attending our meetings to help us through this process. In addition, we have been collecting GIS information, that's mapping information. Both the village and the town became members of the New York State Data Sharing Cooperative. I may not have that exactly right, but which is a very useful organization, because once you become a member, you have access to GIS mapping. And we are a member, the village is a member. Now, the quid pro quo is that when we map something, which we haven't decided if we have to map anything additional, we're creating the inventory of maps at this point. But once, as a member, we're obligated to share any mapping information, which makes sense, totally makes sense. Consultants who get involved with studies like this have access, and you don't have to reinvent wheels all the time, and that's expensive. So that inventory is underway. We're also pulling together the very basics, the very beginnings of a big editorial project, the drafting of the document. Our first cut is about 50 pages, certainly doesn't include much, as much as it will in the end. But, and it's rough because some sections are in point form, others are in narrative. I mean, there's going to be a lot of work to do on that. We did decide at our last meeting that we were going to use a format similar to the 1994 plan, which is basically one document that's the comprehensive plan and a backup document that has much more detail. We have to create the structure of both of these, but we did make that decision. Going forward, as I said, I expect This will be a process that goes through the strategize and the organizing and all well into the fall. Well, no, actually not after, but then we will hold the first of 2 public hearings. The first will be with the committee, open to the public. And that means another rewrite as needed of the draft document. Then the second public hearing will be, she's recommending joint between the town and the village governing bodies. After that, any reworking that's necessary. And then by far the most cost-effective way to proceed is to have Nan work through the seeker jointly, town and village. She's done this a lot, and no offense, but the price was right.
The what?
The price was right.
I'm not offended.
Then it goes to the county planners for review, and then it comes back to the respective boards for adoption. So to date, in terms of hard dollars, we've spent $12,227. We have a total of 30,000 hard dollars, in the bank sort of dollars. Of that, 20,000 needs to be matched, and in-kind counts. And I've been the record keeper, and I certainly will offer my spreadsheet and help in any way. And the most important thing is don't let it get away from you. Every month you put in the hours and figure that sort of stuff out. But there we're also at about 12,500. So we're tracking that nicely. And to be proactive, we're doing very, very well in terms of money, but now we're going to need a lot of Nan's time to move us forward. We did a great deal of the public input without needing to have her at every meeting. The committee was tremendous on that and made a big, big difference, I think. But we have an allocation in the budget of 7,000 from the town and 2,000 from the village. We can draw them. Hopefully we won't need it all. Probably need some of it. And we'll be sort of pro rata about that. Any questions?
Do you have
Yes.
unless maybe I missed it, is there an overall time frame for this?
Well, yes, the goal is, actually, it's interesting, I always said Q1 2019. Nan's always put April 2019. But yes, that is. Our grant, and you probably find with your grants too, have time limits. And the grant was awarded in October of 17. So you really, and I can see now, having been involved with this process, how easily it can slip. I mean, you really have to just keep plugging.
Yeah.
Because the consultants aren't going to do that for you. They're going to respond.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping April, certainly well within our 2 years, because we've got other things to do. And I think it's great, some of the stuff the Climate Smart Committee and the CAC are doing, because we may have things that can help, and Diane being on the committee, it will be wonderful.
Right. I was just noticing that in this enormous list of actions which the town can take to become certified, one is to develop and adopt a comprehensive plan with sustainability elements. So hopefully there will be some sustainability language in the comprehensive plan.
I think there will be. Very, very definitely.
Okay,
Anything
good.
to add?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, I'd like to announce the receipt of funding from the offices of State Assembly Dee Dee Barrett and State Senator Sue Serino for $200,000 to purchase a weed harvester for Rudd Pond. As everyone knows, we've been having our issues with Rudd Pond and trying to keep it open. The current weed harvester, or the weed harvester that was there, broke down last year. It was in such a state, Bob and I went down, took a look at it. We were hoping that we might be able to do some renovation with it, put it back in service. It is beyond repair. It was beyond repair. We went and approached Dee Dee's office and Sue's office and asked for assistance with this. They both came out here, took a look at Rudd Pond, understood what the issues were here. And Dee Dee's office came up with $125,000, and Sue Sereno's office came up with $75,000. So we're very pleased. That will go towards a new harvester, a new trailer for carrying it, and a new ramp and escalator for carrying the weeds. So it will take about 6 months for, we have to put, this has to go out to bid. There are certain specs that the state has designated are requirements for this weed harvester, which we have been over here and looked at and agree totally with. There are certain things that we had requested whether they might be added to the weed harvester, but as it currently stands, the $200,000 would not be sufficient to cover some of the one of the additions that we requested, and that was for a weed rake to be added to the weed harvester. It would be possible at some later date, if there were other sources of funding, to retroactively have that put onto the weed harvester. So currently, that's where we are. It will take 6 months for construction, so we're looking at really next spring. As you may know, we have in our plans for the storage building at the highway garage, planned a bay so that we can keep the weed harvester here. We do not, for this weed harvester will not be going to any of the other ponds within the Taconic region. It will remain right here. It is ours. So, anybody have any questions on it? Very good. Next is the renewal of the direct energy contract. We contracted last year with Direct Energy. As everyone knows, your energy bill is broken down into two parts: transportation and energy source. This involves the energy source. We switched from, although we are in Central Hudson area, we switched to utilize Direct Energy last year. We did save a fair amount of money by doing that, and the contract is due again currently at the end of this month. I would like to renew it for a 2-year period, if that is the board's pleasure. Can I have a motion to renew that contract?
So moved.
Made by John Midwood.
Second.
Seconded by Ralph Fidelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Next is the award of, actually, we received last year a grant, $225,000 from the county for the culvert under Lower Mill Road. And we went out to bid originally. There have been several delays in this, none on our part, but by Army Corps of Engineers, DEC, and there have been several things that have been added to this, what our original plan was. In the process, we went out for bid. Originally, we got no responses. So we had to go out for bid again. We had 2 responses. They were both honestly a little bit higher than what we had expected. But we also are in the position where we do not want to lose the $225,000 grant that we have from the county. There were the 2 bids. The first bid was from Calaruso, and that was for $392,000. The second bid was from Sunup Enterprises, and that was for $472,100. We actually, along with that $225,000 that we have from the county, we have CHIPS money, which comes from the state, and that amounts to $84,280.36. And in addition to that, from the Highway Department Fund, for Permanent Improvement CE Fund, we would be using $82,719.44. Obviously, with the difference in the 2 bids, we would certainly like to use the Calaruso bid for $372,000. $392,000, sorry. With that, Lisa, could you please read us the letter from Morris Associates?
Yes. Dear Supervisor Kay and Town Board, on June 28, 2018, the Town of Northeast has received 2 sealed bid proposals for the above referenced project, which is the Mill Road culvert replacement. This office has reviewed the bid proposal submitted. The breakdown of the received bids is as follows. A. Calaruso and Son of Hudson, New York. The bid was for $392,000. Sunup Enterprise, Inc. of Wappinger Falls, New York, $472,100. This office has completed our review of the bid proposals for the above referenced project. The contract involves the Mill Road replacement culvert. The apparent low bidder for the project is A. Calaruso and Son, Hudson, New York, with a lump sum bid amount of $392,000. The bid forms have been properly submitted. Although the lower bid is higher than the original estimate for the project, in speaking to the highway superintendent, additional funds are available for the project utilizing CHIPS funds as well as budget line item permanent improvements CE to cover the increase in the cost. This office is familiar with past work performed by A. Calaruso and Son and have found their work to be acceptable. This office has attached here with a copy of a notice of award for signature by the supervisor once the town board has approved the bid for the project. A copy of executed notice of award should be forwarded to this office for further processing. Do you want me to read the resolution now?
The resolution, please.
Okay. At the regularly scheduled monthly town board meeting of the Town of Northeast held at the Town Hall, 19 North Maple Avenue, Millerton, New York, on July 12th, there were, and then the 5 board members present. Whereas the town board has previously received information from the town highway superintendent that the existing culvert serving Mill Road that carries a tributary to the Wappingers Creek has outlived its useful life and is in need of replacement. And whereas Morris Associates Engineering and Surveying Consultants has prepared bid documents along with proposed request for proposal documents and have delineated the project labeled as the Town of Northeast Mill Road Culvert Replacement. And whereas the town received formal bids on or before June 28, 2018 from 2 contractors for the construction of work as called for by the bid documents. And whereas Morris Associates as town engineer has reviewed the bid price and the apparent low bidder's qualifications, and whereas the town received a recommendation from Morris Associates Engineering and Surveying regarding the award of the bid. And now, do you want me, it's now would be the point where we make the motion. Now, therefore, on a motion.
Before we do that, I just want to see if there are any comments, questions, anything else from any of the board members concerning this.
No, it has to be done.
It's something that needs to be done.
Once we do this, will we also get some points on the Climate Smart?
No, but there are other culverts and things in the area that need to be addressed. And through the Climate Smart review of all culverts in the town, bridges, under road waterways, we will be able to go in for grants on those as well. Can I have a motion to,
So move.
do we need a person by
I'll
person?
second it.
I'll do a roll call anyways.
All right. Motion made by John Merwin, seconded by John Midwood. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
George,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Ralph,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
and John.
Aye.
Okay. Next is the appointment of Diane Engelke. You were a bit ahead of yourself, Chris, on the appointment of Diane Engelke here. Appointment of Diane Engelke, of the Northeast Conservation Advisory Council as Climate Smart Community Coordinator. Can I have a motion for that?
So moved, since I've already announced.
Since you've already announced it.
Second.
Made by Chris Kennon, seconded by John Midwood. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is the creation of an internal green team focused on climate mitigation and adoption. And on that team are Lisa Cope, Bob Stevens, and Chris Kennon. Can I have a motion to appoint those people to that
So moved.
green team? Made by Ralph Fidelli, seconded by
I'll second.
John Merwin. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm gonna abstain on that one just because it's got my name in it.
Very good.
Okay, noted.
I think we have 4 votes that are still gonna get you on it. Next is meeting with, do we have anything, Warren, for open session?
Yeah, the solar law.
Yes.
So, I have received just came back from a long vacation, my daughter's wedding, so I just got this. This is the final version of the solar law from the committee, redlined, and I did have an
Actually,
opportunity.
I just got it yesterday. Anyway.
Yes, right.
So,
But I did have an opportunity to review it today. They did a very nice job. There's a little tweaking that has to be done by me. The law has to be changed, so that would be an amendment to our town code, which we don't have now. Probably going to make it as a amendment by adding a 180 section, I think 73, to the town code under supplemental regulations. And I can reformat this. And also, there's a lot of references to the model law, the NYSERDA's model law, and the Rhinebeck law, I think the Hyde Park law, which have to be removed from the final version. And so my plan would be to have that ready for you by the next town board meeting in August. And we can, I think, rather than going over it now, I can, I'll just highlight. I think you had a special meeting while I was away, I'm not
we
sure.
had a workshop meeting.
So you
Yes.
probably are familiar with.
We've been through it.
Yeah, so I don't have to.
That's where the corrections came from.
Yeah, but everything, I'm fully satisfied with the changes that they've made. I have a few tweaks that I want to make in the law, some added a couple of sentences in certain places, but nothing substantive. And the main thing is that you're satisfied with the format that we're going to have solar farms subject to a special use permit. We've defined the areas in which those could be located. Let me just get that, so that's important. In the A5A, R1A, R3A, LC, HB1, HB2, HB3, M, and the MA zoning districts. That's where the solar farms can be located. special use permit, very rigorous process that they would have to go through. The ground-mounted and roof-mounted solar facilities for commercial and for residences would be a much simplified process. They would be permitted in all districts, and that's provided for in this law. So by the next meeting, I will have this ready for you so that we can start the local law adoption process. I will prepare a resolution commencing that process. We're going to have to do a seeker review, and I'll prepare the part 1 of the full EAF because it is a type 1 action, and you will be the lead agency or the only agency involved in the action. And the law will have to we'll set it down for a public hearing. I think September is a better time too because more people will be here. This could create a fair amount of comment. I don't know how it will be received, but you want to have the public, I think September is a better time when you'll get people not on vacation, so I think that's a good time to have the public hearing. And I'll do the seeker review for this. I'll do the part 1. The part 1 and the law and the resolution will all be sent down to Dutchess County Planning for what we call a 239M referral. I would expect that they will have no comments. They'll probably indicate it's a matter of local concern. It will be sent to the planning board, and I would hope that the planning board, I don't know, were they part of the workshop session? Okay, so they've seen this, so it may not require that much chewing into by the planning board, but they also have the opportunity to comment on that. We can't pass the law until we hear back from county planning and the planning board or a certain time period is expired. So that will be set in motion at the next meeting. The other issue is the issue regarding a pilot program under Section 487, the real property tax law. In order to encourage these types of uses, there is an exemption provided from taxes, property taxes for a period of 15 years. I think it's a sliding scale if I remember, but it's a 15-year period. Unless the town, the municipality, or the school district has that option too, or the county can also opt out of that by requiring what we call a pilot, which would be a payment in lieu of taxes. So instead of they would paying the taxes that they would normally pay on the facility, and the facility would normally be taxed on the increase in the value of the property as a result of the infrastructure and improvements that are made to the property by virtue of the facility. It's not based on income or anything like that. This would exempt them, except my recommendation would be that you consider a pilot only for solar farms, not require a pilot for individual property owners or commercial properties. That's the way most municipalities go about it. But in order to do this, we need the input from the town assessor. What I'd like to do is I will put together a package of information for the assessor. I'll give her a copy of what we have to date and refer her to the different forms of doing a pilot. NYSERDA has established a model pilot law with a workbook on how you adopt the NYSERDA pilot law, which is based on the megawatt production. It's a little bit more complex and it requires input from the assessor and some decisions to be made by the town. What we did in Hyde Park was we simply required the pilot to be 75% of what they would normally be paying in taxes. So far it hasn't deterred anybody. We have 5 applications in Hyde Park, so it hasn't deterred anybody from coming in and making applications, but we have had some feedback. We're actually going to have some meetings with industry people to discuss the pilot, whether we should be changing to a NYSERDA form. So I'll have that, and hopefully we'll have recommendations from the assessor. I'll ask her to get back to the town board on that with a copy to me. We don't have to pass the pilot law simultaneously with the law, but I would like to try to do that if we can. It's not a difficult law to create, but I will need to have the input of the assessor to have it ready by the next meeting. So it's conceivable that we'll go ahead with the adoption of the local law and then maybe do the pilot right after that, because you have to have that in place. If it's not in place, it doesn't apply to new applications. So we need to do that. And I think that's it. I don't know whether you have any questions, but I congratulate the committee on the effort. They really did a very nice job on this. And that's all I have in public session. I know that you wanted to discuss some, in an attorney-client session, a legal issue, get some input from me on a legal matter.
Anyone have any questions on this? Can I have a motion to go into
This would be an attorney-client, yeah.
session?
So moved.
Made by John Maywood, seconded by
I'll second.
John Merwin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
George,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Ralph,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
John.
Aye. Aye.
Just so you know, Catherine's leaving for vacation on the 2nd of August, and I'll be gone until after the next meeting, so if you want to get her something. And then
I'll try to get it
right
there
away.
right away. Yeah. Should be done from, what?
She'll be gone for like 2 weeks, starting the 2nd, I think.
Okay. I'm not, I mean, if she can do it when she comes back, I can get plenty of time to do it, okay? But I'll get it off to her probably next week.
Do I have a motion to come back into session? Motion made by Chris Kennan, seconded by Ralph Fidelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is supervisor's report. And first of all, we have a budget adjustment number 5 for 2018. From A Fund, we have an expense increase of $3,200, less an expense decrease of $1,200, less a revenue increase of $2,000. In DB Fund, we have a highway town outside fund increase, expense increase of $135,133, less a revenue increase of $135,133. Can I have a motion to accept the budget adjustment?
So moved.
Made by John Merwin, seconded by,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is let's see, we have a special abstract dated June 19th, 2018, totaling $513.14, broken down as follows. A Fund, $302.99. Payroll TNA, $210.15. Can I have a motion to accept the special abstract?
So moved.
Made by Ralph Fidelli, seconded by Chris Kennan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have an abstract dated July 12th, 2018, totaling $666,372.03, broken down as follows. A Fund, $40,804.08. B Fund, $2,369.51. DB Fund, $23,198.44. Can I have a motion to accept the abstract?
So moved.
Made by John Merwin, seconded by
Second.
Ralph Fidelli. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I like your signature, Chris. That's really good.
Real easy. Christopher was way too long.
Next is minutes. We don't, pardon?
Voucher.
A voucher, okay. Voucher committee for next month is Ralph and Chris.
I don't think so.
No?
Oh, no.
No?
No, it's my turn.
John and John?
It was just Ralph.
Just a minute.
It was just Ralph and I, right?
Oh,
We just did it.
I know I did it like 2 days ago.
No, it's Chris and John.
next is Chris and John. Don't all fight for this. I mean, I know
Well,
everybody
you
wants
noticed
to
they didn't
do
even
it.
speak up or anything, they just sat there quietly.
Okay. Minutes?
I read them over, they look fine.
I had
didn't
no
see any
problem.
I didn't bring my copy, but I did say a minor typo of one, just a couple of letters were misarranged in the beginning. Unfortunately, I didn't bring my copy with me.
Do you know which one it was on?
Let's see, quick, it was right in the beginning.
That was a special meeting with the village, that
Yeah,
one.
storage. Right there. Extra A in there.
Oh, okay, I'll fix that.
That's the only thing I found though.
With that minor correction, can I have a motion to accept the minutes
So moved.
Of
May-
May 30th.
of May 30th? Motion made by John Midwood, seconded by
I'll second it.
John Merwin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The other, June, what was it, June
14.
14th? Can I have, are there any corrections on the June 14th?
No, not for me.
No, I didn't have any either, so. Okay,
Make a motion to adopt the minutes.
made by John Midwood, seconded by
Second.
Ralph Fidelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any general comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
In the Climate Smart initiative, was any consideration given to doing it jointly with the village?
Yes, and we are doing it jointly with the village. The village,
Added two people to the committee.
they did. There's obviously, there needs still to be a lead in applying for a grant.
Right.
One entity will apply for the grant, the other entity will support the application.
Do they need an intermunicipal agreement? to do
Yes, we're already working on
that?
that.
Okay, because I think I believe that is the reason we got the full Greenway grant.
Right.
Was the fact that there were two municipalities working together.
Right, and we were encouraged to
Yeah.
do this together,
Good.
yeah.
Bill?
Yes. Can you provide any broad strokes, non-confidential information about what the purpose of the attorney-client session was?
We had, one part of it was actually executive session, which took into account a personnel issue. The rest was attorney-client privilege in regard to a matter that had been brought up and we needed to know what our parameters were as far as that was concerned. Anything else? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Made by John Midwood. I usually don't have any trouble getting seconds on that. So whoever.
Ralph.
Ralph. Okay, Ralph. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. future